Well, we were just as surprised to learn of the landing of an aircraft at the National Key Point and Key Airforce Base, which is known as Waterkloof Airforce Base. But what we wish to say at this stage is that indeed we wish to confirm and give support to the department that indeed the department never granted permission for that aircraft to land at Waterkloof.
When did the Defence Minister, here on this, Sonwabo, when did the Defence Minister find out about this landing?
Well, as you may be aware, we were here in Ethiopia attending a summit of the African Union on African countries contemplating putting together a rapid response forces team to respond to situations such as the one that unfolded in Mali a few months ago. That is what we were here doing. But as we learned, as the story broke back home, that indeed the dignitaries attending a function in South Africa had landed at the Waterkloof Airforce Base, we were just as surprised. And of course, we wish to confirm what the department has been saying all along, that no permission had been granted for that to happen. But what we have done is, or rather the department has done, is to request the South African Air Force as the arm of service that is responsible for that facility to provide the department with clear details as to what transpired leading up to the landing of that aircraft at that Air Force Base.
Sonwabo, I mean, what's fascinating here is the fact that someone from an operational perspective or the technical staff must have known that a plane would have been landing. Would that then be, with regards to responsibility taken by the South African Air Force, would it be the SANDF that would be in charge of that, or the Defence Ministry? Because clearly a plane cannot be coming through to our airspace without knowing where it's going to land and who the plane belongs to.
Indeed, that plane would have not have landed without someone somewhere facilitating that to happen, and that is what we need to understand. Equally, that there are adequate facilities at OR Tambo International Airport, even for receiving of dignitaries from governments of other countries, as you well know, or as some in our society will know. That government does operate a state protocol lounge at OR Tambo International Airport. Equally so, the Department of Defense itself has a protocol lounge to receive dignitaries coming into the country. We do not understand how an aircraft would be allowed to land at a military base, particularly at an Air Force base, which is a key and critical point in the matrix of our national security. But of course, the South African Air Force has been asked to clarify and explain and unpack as to what exactly transpired leading to that happening.
Sonwabo, who would know about this, if anyone did, with regards to the landing? You mentioned the South African Air Force a little earlier. Would that be the body that would have all the details?
That would be the body that has the details. You must remember that it is not normal for a privately operated aircraft, particularly when it's not carrying expected government officials from a visiting country. Those are the circumstances that the airbase would be available. It is not normal, therefore, to receive people who are private persons and who are not expected. Certainly not expected, I say so, because we never granted permission for that aircraft to land there. And hence, the department has, in fact, instructed the Air Force to start compiling a report and to provide details of what exactly transpired.
The Gupta family has come out and said that the Indian High Commission requested permission to land, and it was granted permission to land. So the Gupta family has said that it's exonerating itself in a sense because it did follow the right protocol with regards to what we see from the Indian High Commission. Did a request ever come through to the Defence Ministry?
The Defence Ministry would never have had received that request, nor would it have acceded to such a request, because, as I've said, an Air Force base is not a facility to be used for receiving of guests who are coming from outside the country, who are not government officials, and even if they were, we have such facilities that are available at OR Tambo where we are operating as government, a state protocol launch where those facilities are available. Certainly not a military installation, certainly not a key and critical point such as the Waterkloof Airforce Base.
All right, Sonwabo, as we wait for details, and I understand there's a lot of sensitivities with regards to the investigation, I mean, who would have such power to be able to grant this kind of permission that would be able to override all the protocols?
It would be rather inappropriate to speculate at this stage, and hence we would like to operate and respond as this matter is being looked at based on the facts that will be provided to us by the South African Air Force.
Okay, let's also just touch on, I mean, you were talking about the protocol lounge at OR Tambo. Have we seen this type of thing happening in South Africa before? As well, Nosiviwe coming out and saying that in 19 years of democracy, we actually haven't seen this kind of thing happening at the Waterkloof Airforce Base.
Indeed, this is a serious incident that needs to be looked at in detail as to how it could have happened, because indeed it is not a normal thing to happen, that an aircraft which is not expected by the SANDF to land, as I've said, on a critical and key military installation such as Waterkloof Airforce Base.
Let's just also quickly touch on when you think the investigation is going to be concluded. Of course, this is of national importance because it is said, and perhaps you could comment on this as well, that it has actually breached our national security.
Well, we understand we would not, first and foremost, let us be responsible and not be quick to attach or commit to a time frame in terms of when we will have or can expect these answers that we are requesting from the South African Air Force. But suffice to say that South African Air Force and everybody in concerned understands the urgency behind this matter, because this indeed is a serious incident.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Much appreciated for your time. Of course, you are in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, and of course, we'll be getting more details as the story does unfold.
News that moves. eNCA.com.